Hey my lovelies, it's Mitch here. I'm just coming on to do this Wednesday's Facebook card reveals for you all. So if you were drawn to card number one, we're going into the energy of the Eight of Cups. Now when the Eight of Cups shows in tarot, there's a real focus on being kind of done with something. Something basically is coming to a natural cycle, a natural close. And, we're just making this kind of real commitment of soul, real commitment of self, that whatever this is not actually giving you the emotional well-being. It's not giving you the emotional return of what you need. So it could be a friendship that no longer is serving or working for you. It could be showing up in a relationship that maybe has become a little bit negative or a little bit toxic. That could be a romantic kind of connection, could also just be with a friend or a family member. It could be that maybe there's issues around career or job, and maybe something just isn't giving you the return that you need. It could be in smaller areas as well. It could be maybe that there's something going on. Maybe you're trying to sell a house and a home, and you've been with a particular estate agent for quite a lengthy time, and you're not really getting any results or any interest. And so maybe there's a need to be tapping out with that estate agent and looking elsewhere or in a different direction. It could be so many things. So you will know what it is, what it represents for you. But if you've been drawn to this card, essentially really what this is suggesting and saying is something emotionally is not giving you the return, it's not giving you the well-being, and maybe you're having to really adjust your energy. Maybe you're having to really sort of change your frequency, your vibration, to sort of accept and tolerate whatever this is. And essentially whatever this is, you've outgrown. It's no longer good enough for you. It isn't giving you the inner heart richness. So there's no huffing, there's no puffing, there's no shouting, there's no nastiness. It's just very much, communicating your truth, doing what you need to do, certainly from an emotional space, and realizing and recognizing that you deserve better than whatever this experience gives you. So she's walking away. She's the queen. She's kind of got like this kind of crown on, and she's walking away from something. We've got the moon energy here, so there's a little bit of cleansing and healing and releasing with something, but she's letting something go because she knows, she realizes, she understands, this isn't good enough. This doesn't give me the value of what I seek, what I need. So, if you're looking for confirmation to sort of tap out or to walk away from something at the moment, this is your confirmation card. And like I say, it doesn't mean that we don't stop caring or we don't necessarily stop loving those people if it's around people. Sometimes the people we love the most, we have to set free. So maybe there's an element of that going on with this card as well, if it involves people. But wherever it is, however it shows up, you will know for you. And yeah, just do what you need to do really to sort of, feel the value, the magic. So this is definitely going off on your own terms. This is definitely going off on your own pathway. And there might be some fear, there might be some vulnerability, it could be a bit of a risk, but I feel it's a risk worth paying, worth taking, worth paying off, essentially. So I hope that makes sense if you've been drawn to card number one. Now then, as we're moving into the energies of card number two, we're going into the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups is really feeling quite overwhelmed, quite spaced out, Some of you guys might be feeling a little bit dizzy at the moment. There might be a lot of expectation. There might be a lot of responsibility being placed upon you. And sometimes this is like spinning plates. It just gets too confusing. It just gets too overwhelming. It just gets too much. And so sometimes we have to just stop. We have to prioritize. So, this usually shows up if someone has been sort of spreading themselves very thin. This can show up certainly if someone's feeling quite emotionally overwhelmed and quite emotionally vulnerable, but it can also sort of lead into that sort of mental space, because it can show up if we're not in control of stuff. We're running the risk of maybe a little bit of a mental burnout. So obviously don't sort of go into that space. There could just be quite a lot of confusion and miscommunication that's happening at the moment. So things maybe are not adding up, things are maybe not making complete sense, and that can almost be creating its own set of problems a little bit for you. So it could be, if you've been drawn to this card, that there's a focus and a need to get clarity, to get kind of clear communication on stuff. There could be a little bit of sort of deception going on as well, because I always get quite drawn to the snake. So be aware of the energy, both what you're giving out but what you're receiving back, because sometimes this can represent sort of like underhanded stuff, or a little bit like Chinese whispers, things being slightly embellished or slightly taken out of context, or someone just adding a little bit of something and not always getting the true merit, the true value of a story or a situation. So just watch out for any sort of shady shit. But essentially, this is too much, and something has to change, something has to go. So it is prioritizing. And if you are feeling like you're spreading yourself too thin to the ground, if you feel like you're trying to be too accessible and too available for lots of different pockets of thing, essentially we have to make some priorities here, and prioritizing yourself first. So knowing it's absolutely okay that you can say no to stuff if you don't sort of need to be part of it, or if you physically don't have the energy to be part of stuff. And instead of having 7 of those things that are all sort of demanding your time, your commitments, your energy, we have to sort of slimline it. We have to get rid of some stuff. So it's sort of looking at the most important cups, what they represent for you, keeping those, putting your focuses into those, and the other cups, they maybe have to just be moved to one side. So you may have to let go of some commitments, some responsibilities short term, and then maybe you can rebring those cups back in at a later stage. And it may be that actually by reviewing and having a proper look at what you're putting your energy into, maybe some of those cups actually don't even deserve your energy. Maybe they don't deserve your time. So maybe it's actually being okay to let those go and think, I don't need to try and replace those at a later date. I can let that go and it can be okay, sort of thing. But definitely it's a time to put yourself first, because otherwise you're running the risk of a slight bit of crash and burn, which is just silly because it's not necessary, it's not needed, it can be avoided. So avoid it if possible. Now then, as we're going into our final card, we're going into the energy of the 10 of Swords, if you were drawn to card number 3. 10 of Swords, bit of a heavy time for you guys maybe. You might be feeling quite mentally exhausted, mentally drained. Maybe there's just a little bit of sort of depression or anxiety that's flared up. Maybe you've sort of seen something happen recently that's just really left you more questions than answers. 10 of Swords is the card that's known for betrayal, deception, deceit, and just sometimes it's confusing, isn't it, when things happen, when things play out, and we don't necessarily get closure or get all the understanding of why this has come to pass, why this has come to be. Sometimes people's behavior kind of does leave us with more questions than answers. And so maybe you're feeling a little bit in the deep sting of something. Very occasionally, 10 of Swords can also represent sort of grief and loss and sort of the heartache. So if you're going through a grieving process, if you've recently lost somebody to the world of spirit, maybe this is touching upon that a little bit as well. But it's definitely feeling a little bit low, a little bit disappointed. I was talking to a few clients the other day, and so some people were saying they're feeling very much the effects of this with the government at the moment, and like the whole business of like the Epstein files and all of this. And I'm not going to get too political, but if you've ever felt like the government are on your side, then you're probably the biggest sort of I don't want to say idiot in the room, but kind of, because they're not our friend, they're not on our side. It's a corrupt whole government, not just the person in power, but everybody connected. The whole thing is a huge scam that we all seem to buy into, because none of us are quite brave enough to just speak up and say enough, sort of thing. But if mass people stood up and said enough, the government would collapse. But I don't want to get too political, like I say. But yeah, but for some people that have been believing that the government is our friend and on our side, this is huge at the moment. This is a huge betrayal. The fact that it's likely quite obvious that, Epstein is actually still alive somewhere on an island, and the whole business of his death was just a farce. It's pretty scary times that these are the people we're meant to be looking up to, that are meant to lead the country and everything else. That in itself is pretty scary. Whether you're into politics or not, you have to be pretty much a bit of an idiot, and you have to almost live in a cave to not know a bit of what's going on. And I only know like a fraction of it, but I know enough to know it's probably bullshit. Do you know what I mean? So maybe there's some of that going on. Maybe you just feel very disappointed by the state of affairs, the way that the country is currently being handled and run in, And it is a scary time. It's a very scary time for people, you know. So this could be, betrayal in lots of different ways, whether it's sort of a personal betrayal to you or like ripple effect almost, from the collective energy. But certainly feeling a bit low, a bit flat, a bit overwhelmed. So if you've been drawn to this and if you're feeling like you're in this energy, I think it's really important to remember your own moral compass. You can't change outside energy. You can't change how someone chooses to act or chooses to behave, but you can change what you're prepared to accept, what you're prepared to tolerate, whether it means walking away, whether it means just sort of really being secure in what you've brought frequency wise and your truth. And it's trying not to get sort of splintered or sort of cut on this. It's very hard to do when we're in that space and we haven't maybe got closure. It is very confusing, but just know your worth, and don't sort of stab yourself, where you're trying to dissect some of this. Don't actually cut yourself or almost like actually throw the sort of the dagger into you. Don't stab yourself in the back through the process of whatever this is. Does that make sense? I kind of hope so. So an interesting set of cards this week, kind of definitely representing some vulnerability, so we just got to be a bit careful, but we can keep vibing high, we can keep shining bright and overcome these bits and pieces. So what do I need to let you know about? A couple of shouts. The main one, so this Sunday I'm going to be down at Katrina's hair salon in Martok, and it is fully booked, sold out, so thank you very much if you've secured a space to see me there. Very exciting. I'm having Saturday off because I'm just having a little bit of rest and recharge. And then next week I'm doing a double weekender. I'm over in Carpe Noctem in Frome, both on the Saturday and on the Sunday. The plan is Saturday is going to be one-to-one private readings. Sunday is going to be private one-to-one readings, but there's also going to be the option for violet flame healing sessions. So if you're wanting to sort of have a violet flame healing, I know lots of people used to have those with me. They're going to be available to have on the Sunday at Carpe Noctem as well. So that's quite exciting. So yeah, so all good stuff really. So drop me a message, and we'll go onto the Carpe Noctem website, get yourself booked in on a space. Prices are the same for both readings and healings, and yeah, it'd be great to see you guys there. So going to leave it with you. Keep shining bright, look after yourselves. I hope this week's messages make a bit of sense, and I'll catch up with some of you lovelies very soon. Take care, much love, bye for now.